Okay, let's talk about microphones, the other piece of hardware you're going to need. Now, just like audio interfaces, you can spend anywhere between $50 and $10,000 on a microphone, on a single microphone. They make really expensive microphones. Um, Basically, what you're looking for is there are kind of three different kinds of microphones that we use in audio recording. There are condenser microphones, there are dynamic microphones, and there are ribbon microphones. Okay? Um, they each do slightly different things, but uh, in kind of a simplified thing, kind of a simplified explanation of all those microphones. Dynamic microphones are microphones that can really take a beating and you can really scream into them, but they're less sensitive. Okay, so dynamic microphones are going to be they're really good for live, right? Like when you see a band live, pretty much all those microphones on stage are going to be dynamic microphones. But when it comes to recording, dynamic microphones are good for. They're sometimes good for drums. I use them on kick drums. They're good for vocals sometimes. Um, More aggressive vocals, like a rock vocalist or a rapper, something like that. Dynamic microphones can be good for. Um, they're good for brass instruments. I like them for that. Anything that's just pushing a lot of air right into the microphone, that's a dynamic microphone. Um, Condenser microphones are a bit more sensitive, so they're you don't want to throw a ton of air at them, but they're better for picking up a whole wide spectrum of sound. Okay, um, so anything that's a little more sensitive, strings. I'm going to use condenser microphone. Uh, a singer, if it's like a more delicate style of singing, I'm going to use condenser microphones. Possibly other instruments, I'm going to use condenser microphones in the studio. Um, Most of the time in the studio, I'm using condenser microphones, but um, with the exception of drums and certain kinds of vocalists, I like to use condenser microphones as much as possible. Um, Then the third kind is ribbon microphones. Ribbon microphones kind of sit between those two. They're more finicky. They can take a good amount of air, um, and they're going to be really uh, wide. They're always bidirectional, so they're picking up the sound in front of them and behind them. So they're good at picking up. They're good for instruments that push out a lot of sound all around, like even a room mic. They can be good for that, just getting the whole room. They can be good for overhead mics on drums. I like them for that. I used one on a flute lately and rather liked it. So they're a little more finicky to deal with. So those are the basic three different kinds of microphones that we use. So let's go to a new video and I'm going to tell you kind of, if you're just getting started, what I think you should get.